Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is once again rejecting from this important area of resistance. And yes, this is the second time in just 2 days, because over the last 1 day, we saw another retest of this crucial area of resistance, and now another rejection, just like what we saw the other day. So while this is happening right now in the short term, we're also still seeing the US stock market push into new all-time record highs, which is something that we need to pay attention to right now, while Ethereum is continuing to play out this short-term warning signal in the immediate short term, while the price of XRP is also still struggling and rejecting from this very important area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a quick look at the US stock market. This right here is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and we can see that right now, just today, we've hit a new all-time record high. And so, like I've been saying recently here on the channel, with the US stock market pushing into new all-time highs, continuing to pump here in the short term, this can help Bitcoin and crypto just in the short term, which we have seen over the last few days or so, which I'll also talk about in just a moment. But right now, we're seeing that the 1 hour RSI for the S&P 500 index is now entering into overbought again for the first time since basically Christmas Eve. And we can see that what happened last time we hit overbought in this RSI indicator, we did see a bit of a pullback coming next, just a cool off, because this is a signal telling us that we went too far to the upside too quickly and we need some time to cool off, to reset a little bit. Now, we don't always see an outcome like this. Sometimes it might be just a very, very slight little cool off and then a continuation towards the upside, but it is quite likely we could now see maybe a slight little cool off, either a sideways consolidation or maybe a slight little pullback moving forward in the coming hours or days. So keep that in mind. Just basically the opposite of an oversold signal, like these last couple of oversold signals here on the price chart. We did see a decent bounce following those oversold signals. And so obviously, if eventually this US stock market continues this bull market, which obviously right now is the case, pushing into all-time highs, then that will also likely help Bitcoin and crypto, but just in the short term for the next couple of days potentially, while we're seeing maybe a slight little cool off, that could cause maybe a slight little cool off for some bearish price action for Bitcoin and crypto. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator still sitting in the red, so nothing's changed here over the last 1 day. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still technically have a bearish divergence, so not yet changed over the last 1 day on the weekly time frame. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we also still have a smaller bullish divergence, a shorter term bullish divergence, which is also still currently active and still in play. And technically speaking, over the last 1 day, we just confirmed a 3-day candle close above this previous high based on the candle closes on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart. Obviously, this previous high was sitting at around 92,500, more specifically around 92.6k, and the latest 3-day candle close that confirmed over the last 1 day confirmed at around 93.7k. And of course, we also have to consider the fact that we have other strong levels of resistance that we just rejected from. But for now, once again, this bullish divergence technically still active on the 3-day chart, which means maybe in a week from now, over the next 1 or 2 weeks, it's likely we could continue either some choppy sideways price action or a little bit more of a bullish relief moving forward. Once again, not a huge vertical line all at once. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, at least right now, we're still bouncing between this support and this resistance right here in this sideways price range, in between obviously this support at around 85 to 86,000 and this resistance sitting in between around 92 to 94,000. But it's really closer towards that 94k level that we have very strong resistance, as I've been warning about many times here on the channel since before we've seen all of these perfect rejections here. Obviously, 94k was a crucial level on the price chart for a long time and is still a crucial level on the price chart, acting as very strong resistance. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously we can see that initial rejection from this resistance at give or take 94,000 here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. And then I recorded my video right right around here after we had already started that rejection. And then I said in my last video that it's quite likely that very soon in the short term, the price is going to come back up for another retest of this resistance. So get ready for that very soon. And almost immediately, as soon as I posted my last video, we saw exactly that as predicted. We came exactly up towards my area of resistance and then perfectly started to reject from that exact area again as predicted. And so if anything, the only thing that was not really predicted was that this happened a little bit faster than what was predicted. Obviously, I said in my last video that that would likely take maybe a day or two, whereas right here, it took just a matter of hours. So obviously played out as predicted, but a little bit faster than what was actually predicted. And so now that we've seen two clear rejections from this exact area of resistance within 2 days, it is quite likely now that the price will remain underneath this resistance, at least for a number of days. Once again, not forever, but at least for the next couple of days, it's quite likely the price will stabilize at some point underneath this resistance. And then maybe in a couple of days from now, once again, it could be perhaps sooner than expected if we're going off what happened last time, but most likely in a couple of days from now or a week from now, we could start to work our way up back towards this resistance. But as always, keep in mind what the US stock market is doing. If we start to play out some sort of sideways consolidation or a little bit of weakness, maybe playing out this overbought signal in the shorter term here, then of course that can cause a little bit of weakness in the shorter term for Bitcoin. But considering the fact that the US stock market is overall still in a larger bull market, still pretty much at all-time record highs right now, it's likely that once again, maybe in a couple of days from now, maybe very, very soon, we could still be pushing into new all-time record highs, which when that starts to happen again for the stock market, that can help Bitcoin and crypto in the short term maybe see another retest of this resistance. And so ultimately, I expect something similar to what we saw over the last 1 day or so, basically another retest of the resistance and then potentially another bit of struggle or rejection from this resistance again, but not necessarily as fast as what we saw yesterday. Basically expected to take a little bit more time this time around. And as for support to watch out for, at least here in the short term, in case the price struggles a little bit more and sees a slight little pullback, in that situation, I'd expect a lot of support in this area on the price chart, sitting in between around 89,500 to 90,500. So basically at give or take $90,000 right here, I would expect a lot of support around there on the price chart if the price actually gets down there. And so in other words, we could see potentially similar price action right now as to what we saw kind of back here, for example, around in between 7th of December to 12th of December. Obviously, the price was kind of bouncing around somewhat sideways between this support and this resistance, forming a bit of a new range right here, but also still coming up for multiple retests of this major area of resistance. And so if you haven't done so already, this is the time to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of the next trading opportunity as soon as potentially we see a major breakout here. Not financial advice, but if you use that first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, the first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which by the way is a no KYC exchange, and there's still currently a Christmas trading showdown happening over here for a limited time, only a few more days here, where there's a 1 million USDT prize pool. And so especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take that next trading opportunity, you might as well check this out. Take advantage of this using that first link below the video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use that also you can claim extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below the video will take you to this page right here where you can also take advantage of massive bonuses that are only available using that link. For example, if you make an account using the link below the video, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of this once again using that second link below this video to Pinex. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right right now, obviously, we still have a lot of liquidity towards the downside at around 86,500. And other than that level right there, we don't really have a lot of liquidity to the downside or to the upside, at least in the immediate short term for the price of Bitcoin. And so considering the fact that we still have a lot of important support that's sitting between the current price and that lower liquidity all the way down here, obviously we have, for example, give or take $90,000, which will likely act as a decent amount of support in the short term. And we also have a lot of support at around 87K, give or take. So keep in mind, we still have a lot of support in between the current price and this lower liquidity all the way down here, which means it will be quite likely we'll see some sort of bounce before the price could actually hit that lower level. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, right now the Bitcoin dominance is still looking a little bit more bearish than it is bullish here in the short term with that recent breakdown in the price structure below that previous low. But with that being said, we're not seeing a huge crash towards the downside in the Bitcoin dominance. So it's not like we're seeing a massive altcoin season right now. It's just, of course, some of the major altcoins out there on average are outperforming Bitcoin at least a little bit. Once again, not a huge altcoin season, but overall, this is at least some good news for the altcoin market as we continue a little bit more of a short-term pullback here in the Bitcoin dominance. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, as usual, Ethereum along with a lot of major altcoins follow very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So of course, with Bitcoin perfectly rejecting from my exact resistance, this is also causing Ethereum and other major altcoins to struggle here in the short term and see these slight little pullbacks. And so at the current rate, we could soon likely retest this important area of support here, sitting in between around 3,000 to 3.1k. So keep that in mind. That is the next important area of support to watch out for the price of ETH. And as for resistance, we could find a bit of resistance at really close to 3.3k, especially based on the latest high right here. But the next resistance is also at around 3.4k. And above that, the next very significant area of resistance is in between 3.6k to 3.7k. And another reason as to why we're seeing this short-term pullback for Ethereum, on top of the fact that Ethereum is just following similar price action to Bitcoin, another reason is due to the fact that Ethereum is also still perfectly playing out this warning signal that I shared in my last video. I warned about a potential pullback coming very soon in my last video right around here, thanks to this new bearish divergence, which officially confirmed just yesterday. And so once again, like I said just yesterday, right around here, I said we're most likely going to see either at best some choppy sideways price action, but quite possibly a bit of a pullback coming very soon in the coming hours or possibly days. And over the last one day, that's exactly what has played out as predicted. And considering it is technically still active, this could continue to play out a little longer, at least in the coming hours, maybe even another 1 or 2 days just here in the shorter term. And so overall, that is my exact prediction moving forward. The bearish divergence still playing out for the coming hours or possibly days. And of course, the next key area of support to watch out for as we're continuing that short-term pullback. And as for Solana, if we're taking a look at the daily Solana price chart, we can see that right now the price of Solana is also perfectly rejecting from my exact area of resistance here, sitting in between around 143 to 147. Obviously, this is an area that I've been talking about for a very long time now on the channel, and over the last 1 to 2 days, we've just perfectly rejected from that exact area. And so now that that is happening as expected, obviously it's always expected to see struggle or possible rejections from especially strong resistance like this. Of course, technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still currently active, which means we could still play out either some choppy sideways price action like this, or maybe a little bit more of a bullish relief in the coming days or weeks. So keep that in mind. Yes, in the immediate short term, talking about the next few hours or days, we could play out a little bit more of a pullback or basically a little bit of a weakness here, just basically playing out a rejection from this resistance. But tying it all together with Bitcoin and the stock market, obviously if stocks, for example, eventually keep pushing into all-time highs, if Bitcoin maybe in a few days tries to come back up for another retest, that can also help Solana and other altcoins try to come back up for other retests of these points of resistance. But in the meantime, while we're playing out this short-term rejection, the points of support that I'll be watching out for, first of all, I'll be looking at give or take $130, especially in between 130 to around 132 as an area of support to watch out for. And below that, I would also expect a lot of support at give or take 125. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, right now, technically speaking, this larger bearish divergence is still currently in play. It's still currently valid on the weekly XRP price chart. So keep that in mind. We are getting closer towards possibly invalidating the bearish divergence, but we're not there just yet, which means it's still technically active. And as for support, obviously we're still bouncing from this major support here at around $1.80. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, technically speaking, we still have a smaller or shorter term bullish divergence, which is also still active on the daily XRP price chart and has played out very nicely here over the last couple of weeks, at least up until right now, where we've run into my exact area of resistance and started to perfectly reject from that precise area. And so once again, this is based on the previous golden pocket area of support, a level that I've not changed in months now on the channel, and this is still sitting here on the price chart at around $2.30 to $2.40. And we could see, especially based on the candle closes, that's precisely where the price rejected from. And so continue to expect a lot of resistance in between $2.30 to $2.40, which means expect struggle or possible rejections from that area right there. And that's what is now happening, as we can see right now. But right now, while we're playing out the rejection from this resistance, I'll now expect support at potentially $2.15 to $2.20, but really at around $2.12 as the next important support. And below that, we also have more important support in between around $2 to $2.05. And of course, on top of the fact that we're playing out a rejection from this strong area of resistance, we're also playing out an overbought signal in the daily XRP RSI, which is yet another signal telling us that we're likely going to see a bit of a cool off moving forward, which means most likely a pullback, maybe some choppy sideways price action, helping to reset the RSI out of overbought because we went too far to the upside too quickly in the short term, and we now need to cool off. And so all of the price action that we're seeing right now is very much expected and very much normal price action to see after we see overbought signals, especially while we're running into strong resistance. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, of course, alongside the rest of the crypto market, Chainlink is also struggling and seeing a slight pullback here in the short term. As I always say, a lot of these major cryptos are highly correlated to each other, which means if Bitcoin especially struggles a lot in the short term, expect a lot of the crypto market to perform very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. And so obviously right now, Chainlink is performing that same sort of struggle here in the short term, seeing a slight little pullback once again. And we're now retesting an important area of support sitting in between $13.30 to $13.50. So it is important for the price to hold this area, because if, for example, we confirm a daily candle close back below $13.30, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, that would clearly be a sign of weakness in the short term, obviously pointing towards lower prices coming next. And so once again, that's not yet confirmed, but if that confirms, considering right now we're testing the support, if we confirm the break to the downside, then the next support I'd be targeting is in between around $12.70 to $12.80, and below that we also have a lot of support at give or take $12. And technically speaking, this bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink price chart is also technically still currently active, which means we could still play out either some choppy sideways price action like this, or maybe a slight little bullish relief after we first play out a little bit more of a struggle. Once again, it is possible we could play out a little bit more of a bullish relief at some point in a few days or a week from now, for example, but we really need to hold this area of support in order to expect more bullish price action to come in the next few days, because if we break this area, then likely the following few days after that break would see more bearish price action. So this, at least in the short term, is a crucial moment for the price of Chainlink. And in case you're wondering, the next resistance to watch out for if we hold this support is really at around $14.70 to $15 as the next crucial area of resistance. And of course, now that we've set this local high in place, we could also find a bit of short-term resistance around the high at just above $14, around $14.10 to 14.15. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, it doesn't matter if it's bullish, bearish, or bouncing around sideways, you can profit in all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.